The other CO2 problem is what they're calling ocean acidification. On top of climate change, of course.
Are we having them round like that, or are we having them flat?
It's a message the children at Ridgeway School in Plymouth are trying to get into the heads of the adults who ruled the world.
This is serious. It's really important. The seas all over the world are becoming more acidic. It will affect everyone and everything in the sea, and is a lot more important than your stupid soap.
An animation from the children was presented to a big science congress in Copenhagen recently. The chair of the panel said their voices were more eloquent than anything she could say.
I asked some people I knew and they didn't have a clue what it was actually all about. So then I looked it up on the computer and I found out what it was about, and it seemed pretty bad.
Some animals' shells and stuff and corals were disintegrating, and then it was affecting the whole food chain, and it's just terrible.
Well, there's loads of fish and animals, sea creatures that are going to be affected by the problem. They're going to die, and when one dies, another dies because it's its source of food.
If we make less pollution, like use less cars, take public transport, all the sorts of stuff like that, we can reduce pollution and hope stop ocean acidification.
Hi, I'm Michelle Musser, reporting live at the scene of what is to believe to be the first casualty of ocean acidification.
But although the messages here are simple, the science is not completely settled. Some leading scientists say there are more serious threats to the ocean.
I am concerned because this is a global scale experiment that we are doing, and quite a dangerous one. But I don't think that we can be sure exactly how dangerous, because we cannot be certain at the moment about our projections, and also because we can't be sure how organisms in the sea will be able to adapt.
Do you think politicians need to act immediately on something like this?
Yes, we should take a precautionary approach. That's my personal belief. If I was forced to rate threats to the planet, and which was the worst and going down through it, I don't think I would put ocean acidification right at the top. It's probably number 3, below climate change itself, the warming effect of carbon dioxide, and probably below the other exploitation of the ocean, which has been rampant.
Despite the uncertainties, it's clear that some parts of the ocean are especially vulnerable, like the Arctic and the Antarctic. These pictures were taken by scientists on a German-funded Arctic research cruise. Cold water absorbs much more CO2 than warm water. That particularly endangers deep water shell-forming creatures in polar seas, like cold water corals. Tests suggest some species will fare better than others, but scientists say diversity will be reduced, and that will make the entire ecosystem more vulnerable to other pressures.
Well, the Arctic is special because what will be happening there in terms of the open ocean away from coasts will be happening sooner than elsewhere, even sooner than in the Southern Ocean. So now that we have analyzed what's going on in the Arctic and trying to project what will happen over the next 10, 20, 50, even 100 years, we can say that within 10 years, about 10% of the waters will start becoming corrosive to one of the materials that the shell-building organisms in the ocean use to construct their shells. So this means the shells could easily dissolve. And this also means that these organisms which live on the shelves, such as clams, mollusks, various kinds of sea urchins, they could, parts of their skeletal material could start dissolving within 10 years.
Arctic waters supply many of the fish we eat. We may be changing the chemistry of cold waters at our own peril. That's certainly the fear here, where acidifying oceans looks like a looming environmental disaster. The Israeli city of Eilat lies in a desert. But plunge under the water and you'll find the oceanic equivalent of a rainforest. Tropical reefs, one of the natural wonders of the planet. They offer many free services to humankind. They generate money for developing countries through tourism. They protect low-lying island nations from the rising waves. They're the breeding ground for so many of the fish we eat. To lose them would be a devastating blow.
Over 25% of our fisheries resources throughout the world spend some time of their life in a coral reef ecosystem. And so this is a very important ecosystem that we must preserve. Anywhere from 300 million to 1 billion people depend on the fisheries resources from coral reef ecosystems for their survival in terms of food and protein resources. So this is a major concern for humanity.
Hold your head rock steady. I'm just going to shift the mast round to the right a little bit. Look.
Using equipment designed for BBC wildlife programmes, we kitted up to take a look with Israeli coral scientist Dr. Maoz Fine. Cameraman Tony Fulshaw and I had microphones in our masks. Dive safety master Richard Bull kept an ear across our underwater plans as I made my way down to the corals.
Divers, comms check, please, over.